Notice the relief cuts that were automatically added extend past the bend region, allowing this flange to be folded without deforming the rest of the material. Let's edit the sheet metal feature and look at the settings that control the size and appearance of these cuts. To do this, I click on the sheet metal feature and choose Edit Feature. The area I'm concerned with is the last section called Auto Relief. This is where I specify my default relief type. As you can see, it's currently set to rectangular with a ratio of 0.5. I can change this to obround or tear. I can specify a relief ratio. The relief ratio is defined as the distance of the relief gap divided by the part thickness. Take a look at this diagram to help illustrate how relief ratio is defined. You can find this diagram by searching for relief ratio in the SOLIDWORKS online help. Getting back to the edge flange, there's another setting you might have seen in the Property Manager called Trim Side Bends that I didn't explain earlier. And this controls how the addition of an edge flange will affect surrounding bends. Let me add another edge flange, this time letting it span the entire length of the edge. If I complete the flange without the Trim Side Bends option, you can see it does nothing to the surrounding bends. If I edit the flange and check the option to trim sides, you can see that it's trimmed the bend region of the surrounding bends. I mentioned earlier that the edge flange can be applied to multiple edges at once. Now this can be a big time saver, especially when adding flanges to adjacent edges like I have with this part here. I'll click the edge flange icon and select an edge. Notice as I drag the pointer that the preview of the edge flange is updating. I'll click once again to establish the length of the flange. Next, I'd like to select the two other edges on this end of the part. Be sure to click in the Edge Selection window to activate it. If you don't, selecting additional edges will do nothing. As I select the two additional edges, notice a preview appears for each one. For adjacent edges that would otherwise intersect, SOLIDWORKS automatically miters the corners. Before clicking OK to accept these settings, notice the arrows that appear next to each flange. They're different than the gray arrow, which allows me to change the length of the flanges. If you click on the arrows, the direction of the flange will be flipped. Each flange's direction can be independently controlled, unlike the gray arrow, which controls the length of all flanges. In addition to the settings you saw in the first edge flange example, here we also have control over the gap size in the Property Manager. The gap size refers to the space between the mitered flanges as you see here.